this is not happening, is it? I'm playing COD 2, the big red one, with more than 2 people. Wow. Okay, so this match I joined, it was actually a setup match, just like usual. There is a Facebook page called COD 2, the big red one community. If you look it up, you'll get a link to their Facebook page, and on that page, they'll have a bunch of feed and kind of info about when they're going to hold their matches. And when you see the info on that, you'll just click on it, and it'll send you to a page with a countdown timer, and it will show you the days, the hours, the minutes, the seconds until the next match. Now, usually matches host around 2 to 5 people. This one was a little bit more filled. We had 6, which still may not seem like a lot to you. But even with that being said, this was a very, very busy match, and really brings me back to when I used to really play this game a lot, and nostalgia really filled me. I really do miss this game. I wish more people played it, sometimes more than COD 3, in fact, because just how fun it was. I mean, I recorded one more than just this match, obviously, but even when I was losing in some of these matches, I was still having a lot of fun because I just haven't played this game in such a long time. Think about it as, let's just say you go to your favorite restaurant and you order your favorite meal. Now, for me, that would be like crab legs or something. Now, going to that restaurant and ordering those crab legs only once in an entire year is better than eating my favorite chicken sandwich at McDonald's once a week, because when you have something that's a lot more rare and a lot more uncommon, it's much more special to you than something you come across a lot, which in this case, Call of Duty 3, yeah, it's, I love that game, but I can play that game all the time since there's always people on. But this is different. There's not a lot of times where I can play this. Usually, yes, there is a good amount of matches being set up all the time, but with my work schedule and my school schedule, it doesn't work out for me, so I usually don't get to play or record this. So this was kind of a really special moment for me to kind of come back to this game and play it again, and I had a lot of fun. Now let's get into the topic of today. We are going to just talk about this game just like we did with COD 3 and just like we did with COD 4. So what do I think of this game's multiplayer? Well, before we get into that, I'm going to talk about the campaign once again. This was my first Call of Duty, so this was my first experience with this type of shooter. The reason why, what I mean is this type of shooter is, before I played Call of Duty, I played Medal of Honor, just like probably most of you did if you grew up in the 2000s. Specifically Medal of Honor Rising Sun, and even the first one. And the main difference between Medal of Honor and Call of Duty is the fact that Medal of Honor usually had you on missions where you were a lone wolf going against a whole army of like Nazis or Japanese or whatever the hell they threw at you. Whereas in this game, you were kind of with a squadron. Now in this case, it was the big red one, which was the 1st Infantry Division in World War II, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I remember it always talking about that. And the big difference between this, because like it actually felt like you were part of, the army. It didn't feel like you were just one guy, being this big hero like you were in a lot of these other shooters. It felt like you were just a little insignificant soldier, a part of this kind of big war machine that was going on. And that was a kind of something different back then. Especially with games like Doom and Quake and Wolfenstein 3D, which, in the 90s, those were the main shooters at the time, and it was the same thing where you were just one man against this whole army. And so to play this game and to see, with all these big differences that now you're part of a squad, it was like kind of this breath of fresh air. And I know Call of Duty kind of did this beforehand with its Finest Hour and even the original Call of Duty 2, which came out at the same time. Since this was my first one, this was the first time I ever experienced something like that, so it was really refreshing to me. And also the fact that they included real-life film from World War II and all the cinematic in-game cutscenes that were being played, and I thought that was very, very cool. Now, to dig into multiplayer, which is what you're all probably waiting for, because, yes, the campaign usually is my favorite part of the game. And in this game it is too. I love the campaign. It's great. I recommend you play it. I'm not going to spoil it for you either. So you got to go out there, buy this game yourself, and discover that great story. But let's get into the multiplayer, since I know that's what a lot of you are wondering about. Now, this game has, I think, 12 maps in it. All are on the bigger side in terms of COD maps. You know, if we're talking about today's maps. This map, Town Square, is on the medium size in terms of the maps in this game. And then there's also a lot of bigger maps like Butch Holes and let's see, Butch Holes and Gala is a little bit on the smaller side. I would say the smallest map would be maybe Canyons would be the smallest map, and then I think the biggest map might be Crucifix. I don't know. That map is more of a maze than like an open field, like most of these are. It's not really picked a lot, but in terms of size, they're a little bit on the bigger side. Not Ghosts big, but you know, in between COD 3 and Ghosts, so you know, right around in the middle. And then of course the gameplay is slowed down compared to a lot of the newer Call of Duties. On a scale of, let's see, COD 3, which I think is the slowest, and then Black Ops 3, which I think is the fastest pace, I would say this would be probably only a little bit above COD 3. This game is still very slow paced, and I like that still. But at the same time, due to the way the maps are, things happen in more of a fast pace, just like they were in this Capture the Flag match. Now there are tanks in some of the maps, which is alright. I mean, I don't really mind tanks, but I do find it annoying a little when some of these, you know, veteran players who've been playing this game forever still use those cheap tactics, which, you know, you can avoid, yeah, but it's just annoying, especially when they get in the tank after they capture the flag. I just think that's you know, it just shows like, wow, you're really gonna do that when trying to have fun here. But that's just a small complaint. Other than that, it's fine with the vehicles and all that stuff. And then of course the guns. You got your, you know, your normal MP44, MP40, Thompson, M1 Garand. You got your normal sniper rifles like the Springfield and the Kar 98. You know, and then you got a couple others too. And then lots of semi-automatics like the Gewehr and I can't remember, it's whatever the hell it's called. But no, I usually like using semi-automatics, but in this case I use the MP44 because of how many people were playing and the type of game we were playing. Usually I'll use a semi-automatic, but in this case I wasn't. And I still had a lot of fun with it. Also, you'll notice that there are no hit markers, which is really interesting to say the least. And the biggest difference is there is no health regen. It's just a health bar, which a lot of you were like, whoa, this is weird. And I don't know, I don't know what I like better. I mean, in some ways I can see the health regen being fair, because let's just say you kill a guy and he takes away all your damage. It would be kind of unfair since he has full health now and you still have that one little sliver. But at the same time, it's unfair for him because he took all that damage away from, you know, all that health away from you, and now he's got to redo all that because he died and you lived. So in a way, it kind of evens out. If I were to choose one, I kind of like this a little bit more because it's just more interesting, and it kind of gives you more reason to play a little bit more tactically if you heard my COD 3 review. And also, I just think it makes things a little... It scrambles things up a little bit. It makes you move a little bit more. While some may say it influences camping and all that stuff, I don't really think so. I mean, everyone... There's going to be campers no matter what you do. So, there's really no problem with that. Sorry about that little burp there. But one thing you will also notice, there really isn't a whole lot of recoil in the guns. They all seem to be pretty, you know, more like MW2 in a way, where every gun's a laser weapon. Now, they aren't that bad, obviously, but I would say they probably did this due to the fact that they had no hit markers, and also the fact that this game is a little bit on the choppier side. So, you know, aiming a gun and with all that recoil and all that stuff, it would be a lot harder to hit somebody with kind of the choppier frame rate. It isn't like today. This is a PS2 release, so obviously things were a lot different back then, the way it is. And then let's talk about the sound. Now that's great. Even though I had the aux cord plugged in and I couldn't hear a damn thing, just listening to the sound of the gameplay is just amazing. It's so good how they did it. It may sound a little scratchy today, but the guns, the way you walk, how your equipment, how you can hear it rattling, and then the different surfaces too. How when you go inside a house, you can hear the floorboards, and when you go on a metal staircase, you can hear like the clanking. It's all so well done, and I love it. And then of course the graphics. They're PS2 graphics, obviously. They're better than COD 3 though. The textures are more clear, more crisp, and all in all, it's just a smoother and much more solid game. And I love it. It's a great game, and if you're looking to buy it, I recommend it. I recommend it for the campaign and for the multiplayer. Of course, you got to set up a DNS for it. I'll provide a link in the description, or you can just visit my one video I made in November where I explained how to get your PS2 online. But other than that, yeah, even if it is a really small community, I know a lot of YouTubers will often say, don't join this community because there's nobody who plays anymore. It's not worth it. Well, yeah, there's nobody playing it because you keep on shooing everyone away. So might as well get into it while there actually is still people playing and enjoy it while it lasts. But even without the multiplayer, it's still a great game, and I highly recommend it. And I hope you all have a great day.